Welcome to Tigray Television. I'm here with the hour's news. Stay tuned. Eritrea's President Isaias Afwerki called on the people of Eritrea to roll up their sleeves for what he called another round of fierce resistance in his message to the people of Eritrea on the eve of New Year's. Many stated their fear that Isaias is waging another round of war. Expert in international relations Molla Radda says the message shows undying desire of Eritrean president to subjugate the people of Tigray. Abil Tsagabu has more.
Many hoped the 2023 to bring peace and stability in the Horn, but Isaias Afwerki's New Year message shocked a lot of people as it presumably indicates another year of fighting, tension, and disruptions. On his message on the eve of the New Year, the president called on the people of Eritrea to roll up their sleeves for another round of fierce resistance.
بتزامادي ناي عبللتن حنكرتن عندراتات كونه ناي مقابلاتاتهم شرحتات زعقس لزي مسل لعلو كل خاء لمعتاو بدوهاتاتناون كعبس لزخونه كي تزاننا نزحي لمخطب النكايدو مدلوات.
As to the expert in international relations and comparative politics Molla Radda, the message is an indication of Isaias's intent to subjugate the people of Tigray.
Is a reflection of that undying desire to continue his campaign of attempting to subjugate the people of Tigray. And as you know, in recent weeks, the Ethiopian government and the government of Tigray had concluded a peace agreement to bring this tragic conflict to an end. And unfortunately, there are elements here and there that are trying to spoil the peace agreement. And the Eritrean government is a classic spoiler.
President Isaias has never stood for election. For Eritrea, he is the only leader ever since its independence in 1991. No constitution and national assembly. According to the BTI Governance Index, Eritrea ranks second to last, scoring 1.212 out of possible 10 points. Molla Radda also says Isaias preparing his own people for another round of bloodshed while peace taking momentum in Ethiopia shows how bad the regime in Eritrea is.
Successful implementation of the agreement between the government of Tigray and the Ethiopian federal government is predicated, at least in large part, on the withdrawal of the Eritrean government forces and Amhara forces. So the fact that the Eritrean leader is essentially preparing his people for further acts of bloodshed and destruction, I think, in the month and years ahead, speaks volumes about the nature of the regime in Eritrea. And so the international community needs to prevail on the Eritrean government and convince it that enough is enough and withdraw its forces from Tigray so that fellow Ethiopians can essentially live in harmony and peacefully amongst each other.
Isaias' New Year message mainly accuses world superpowers for meddling on the business of sovereign states such as Eritrea. Asked about this, Molla says it is Isaias who posed a threat to the sovereignty and national integrity of Ethiopia.
And the fact that the Eritrean army is participating in this internal conflict with the full measure of its national power is antithetical to that formulation that you mentioned earlier. And President Isaias also has a tendency to play victim when in fact his army has been victimizing the people of Tigray, among other things. And he's also been engaged in all kinds of destabilizing activities over the past 3 decades. In fact, the United Nations Security Council had levied sanctions on Eritrea in 2009, and those sanctions were strengthened further in 2011 for Eritrea's role in destabilizing its neighbors, including for its support of Al-Shabaab, the terrorist outfit based in Somalia. And so the fact that the Eritrean regime is actually branding what the Western world is doing, for example, a kind of interference, is a bit problematic. That's a very wrong formulation. What the Eritrean government is doing in Tigray, in Ethiopia, is actually a violation of the country's sovereignty and territorial integrity. What elements of the international community are trying to help.
Eritrea Ministry of Information said the president will come up to press in the coming week. It is to be recalled that on the 23rd of December, AU high-level panel member Uhuru Kenyatta stated that all foreign forces will withdraw from Tigray according to the Pretoria Agreement.
Nutrition expert Tigray Bureau of Health says 112 children have died due to malnutrition, and the death of children from lack of food has tripled in the last 6 months. Kohogwesh has the details.
According to health officers, if 50% population in a country can get adequate nutrition, is categorized to be under severe famine. And according to Tigray Bureau of Health, the number of children under severe malnutrition is over 33.6%. Mengish Baharsalase, nutritionist in the Health Bureau, said only in the past 6 months, over 28,000 children have been exposed to severe malnutrition.
Last year, in 2021, 36,000 children were under severe malnutrition, and this accounts for 5% of the children in Tigray. And in this year, only in 6 months, 28,000 or 13% of children in Tigray are under malnutrition. So we can say the number of children in malnutrition is almost tripled.
When compared to the previous year's study, said Mengish, the number of children in severe malnutrition has tripled. And only in the last 6 months, 112 children have died due to the lack of food. He emphasized this figure doesn't include the areas under the control of Eritrean and Amhara forces.
The figure from the last 6 months shows 33.6% of the children are in medium and severe malnutrition. In addition, 112 children have died, and this is only a figure from the hospitals. And from 188,000 mothers with children, 78% of them are suffering from shortage of food.
After the peace agreement, mothers have received some aid, but the large need for children's supplementary food is a lot. And he says it should be addressed.
We give supplementary food for children with medium malnutrition from WFP and severe malnutrition from UNICEF. So we have supplementary food for 20,000 children in 42 vicinities, but this will only last for 2 months and it's not sufficient.
According to data received from the Bureau, and the number of stunting and wasting children before the start of the war was 41 and 12% respectively.
Patients in Zana Health Center in northwestern Tigray said that they can't get any medical service as there is a critical shortage of medical equipment in the center. The medics of the health center on their part added that patients with easily treatable illnesses are dying in vain. Noam Hadgu reports.
IDPs currently sheltered in Zana, northwestern Tigray, who fled from western Tigray to escape the brutal attacks of Eritrean troops and Amhara militants, share their unbearable sufferings. A family we spoke that was forced to leave its belongings behind is now in dire condition, as the mother can be able to get medical treatment despite the long journey to reach there.
We were displaced from Western Zone, vicinity of Adugoshu. We came here seeking shelter and medical treatment. My patient wife was transported here on rented camel, paying 500 birr. We are running out of money. Besides, the transportation and medical services were terminated due to the war. We came here as we came to get medical treatments from where we were due to the shortage of medical supplies.
We fled from our houses as we heard the Amhara Fanno started killing people. The Amhara Fannos massacred the people who stayed there. I got sick on my way seeking shelter. Now I come here hoping to get any medical treatment. I came here in a very dire condition.
Despite the displaced family's arrival to the health center, overcoming many obstacles to get medical treatments for the sick mother, they can't find anything worse that could help her, as the center is facing shortage of medical equipments and medicines. The medics were also saddened to tell them the shortage of medical supplies in their center too.
We can't give any service to this poor mother. We think she is suffering from tuberculosis. We have nothing to treat that disease. Besides, we can write her prescription letter to any referral hospital, as there is security and transport threats in the area. There is nothing we can provide.
The family was forced to go back home barehanded as there is no treatment. The head of family calls for the international community to end the suffering of millions of Tigrayans.
The people of Tigray are living in a very critical condition. The international community should, by understanding our situation, help in providing a sustainable solution.
United Nations Office for Project Service UNOPS says it has started rapid response project to resume schools and health centers in 5 selected districts in Tigray. Senior Program Manager at the UNOPS, Asfa Ushetu, says his office has started working on infrastructure building, purchasing and supply procurement, focusing on schools and health centers in Tigray. Abraha has the details.
Preliminary assessment so far has disclosed that more than 80% of schools and health facilities in Tigray have been destroyed amid the deadly war in the region. Given this, United Nations Office for Project Services says it has started rapid response and recovery programs in 5 selected districts in Tigray. Senior Program Manager at the UNOPS, Asfa Ushetu, says his office has started working on infrastructure building and purchasing and supply procurement, focusing on schools and health centers in Tigray.
UNOPS ያው ስሙም ዩናይትድ ኔሽን ኦፊስ ፎር ፕሮጀክት ሰርቪስ ነው። ፕሮጀክቶች ላይ ነው የሚሰራው UNOPS።
UNOPS stands for United Nations Office for Project Service. It works on projects. It has 3 focus areas: infrastructure building, purchasing and supply procurement, and project management. Our mission in Tigray now is mainly on infrastructure building, purchasing and supply procurement. Based on the agreement between World Bank and Ethiopian government, there is 300 million package, out of which 25 million will be in Tigray. Its main purpose is reconstructing schools, health centers and community wash.
Asfaw says the project focuses on rapid response and recovery programs. According to Asfaw, the project is currently focusing on rapid response program and it will proceed to recovery program in the near future.
ለሁለት ይከፈላል ኢምፕሊሜንቴሽኑ አሰራራችን። አንደኛው በአፋጣኝ
The implementation is divided into 2 programs: rapid response and recovery. Rapid response is reopening schools and health centers immediately, bringing necessary inputs. What we are doing now is rapid response. The second one takes time as it requires building blocks and wash. So we will do it concurrently as we deliver education and health services to the community.
The program manager also says UNOPS has chosen 5 districts in Tigray and it has chosen Amdoyan locality, a place that has sustained huge infrastructure damage due to the war, as a pilot, prioritizing Dongolat Primary School and Dongolat Health Centers, based on a discussion with the community and NRC.
5 ወረዳዎችን መርጠናል በትግራይ ውስጥ። አሁን ከነዚህ 5 ወረዳ አንደኛው ሂንታሎ ነው።
We have chosen 5 districts in Tigray now: Hintalo, southern eastern Tigray; Ofla, southern Tigray; Hausen, eastern Tigray; Abergele, central Tigray; and Askede in northwestern Tigray. The selection has been made based on the severity of the damage inflicted on the infrastructure in the districts. Currently, we have chosen Amdawayane locality as a pilot. In this locality, we have started rapid response program at Dongolat Primary School and Dongolat Health Center. We have allotted $100,000 for purchasing and supply procurement purpose exclusively for Dongolat Primary School.
Principal of Dongolat Primary School, Abraha Girmay, says his school has started resuming education with the help of UNOPS, that has started maintaining restrooms and supplying basic equipment such as blackboard and desks.
ትምህርቲ ካብ ኮሮና ጀሚሩ ብድሕሪ እውን በቲ ጦርነት ምክንያት ያው አቋሪጽ ጸንሒ ስጋዕ ሕዚ ማለት እዩ።
School has been suspended for so long due to COVID-19 and war, but now we've started education with the help of UNOPS. They have started maintaining the toilet and they told us they will build a new one. They have brought blackboards and chalk. They would bring other necessary materials including books. More than 500 students have been enrolled from grades 1 to 6 altogether.
English teacher and class master of grade 2, S.I. Kasai, says he is happy on the resumption of education at his school and he is ready to continue teaching even though his salary has not been released yet.
ያው ተማሃረ ዘም ቀደማይ ክፍል ሃለው እዚ ቅድሚ ኮሮና ብጣዕሚ ንፋዓት እዮም ነይሮም ቀደማይ ክፍል አጽውም
Those students were good when they were grade 1, but now they have been traumatized and they are struggling to cope up with their classes. They were supposed to be grade 4 now, but they are still grade 2, as they were out of school for 2 years. I am ready to carry out my teaching duties regardless of anything. I am happy to see them back in class.
Students in the school also expressed their happiness on the resumption of the school, revealing their regret for having been out of school for the past 2 years.
ሽመይ አቤል ሓጎስ ይበሃል ትምህርተይ ሃላይ ክፍሊ
I'm called Abel Hagos and I am grade 2. I should have been grade 4 now, but I am still grade 2 as my school was closed for 2 years due to the war. I am happy to be back at school now.
ኣነ ምዕባለ ቦሪን ይበሃል
I am called Mu'bala Barihun. I'm grade 2. I am very happy to be back to school. I want to learn. I am delighted to see it resume. I was supposed to be grade 4, but I am in grade 2 now. School was closed due to war for 2 years, and we were out of school.
Lack of fuel in Tigray has left drivers jobless, causing major economic crises. Managers of gas stations in Ma'ala say that they're waiting for fuels to come while having made their stations ready. Gabriel Christos Kahsai reports.
Alam Tesfa used to make a living as a driver, but now he's forced to quit his work due to the absence of fuel. He says he's not physically and economically deprived.
Before the start of the war, I worked as a driver. I have children. I was raising my children with that job, but now I can't do that because there is no fuel. I use it to raise my children with that job.
Ta'ama Gabrazgaber and Taddesa Toglu are managers of gas stations in Maghala. The managers of the gas stations say the station were running out of fuel for more than 2 years following the outbreak of the war. Both are hoping to get fuel and pursue their service in accordance with the ongoing peace agreement.
ያው ጽቡቕቲ ናይቲ ስምምዕነት ሰላም ቀፂሉ ነዳዲ ከኣቱ
We were told that fuel will be transported to our gas station according to the peace agreement. Now we have already discussed with our head office in Addis Ababa. It is probably coming.
እዚ ብዙሕ ግዜ ዳርጋ ተዓፂ ዝነበረ ማሽናት ኣሐዲስና
We have renewed and still renewing the gas station's machines, which were out of function for long. We are hoping we will start providing service. We are ready and still hoping that fuel will come to our gas station.
IDPs from northwestern Tigray sheltered in Zana called upon the Ethiopian government for immediate humanitarian assistance while demanding the withdrawal of the invading forces. Yohannes Atahalti has more.
IDPs from northwestern Tigray say the invading Amhara and Eritrean forces have committed atrocities on millions of Tigrayans in the area they occupied. The victims also noted that they are facing unbearable problem on a daily basis.
ኢሳያስ ሰራዊት ሲገባ በቃ ለህብረተሰቡ ነው በቃ እንስሳውም ሰው ነው ማረድ የጀመረው
When the Eritrean troops entered into northwestern Tigray, they immediately started slaughtering cattle and civilians. They raped and killed thousands.
ከቢያራ ለቃችሁ ከባድሜ እንዳለ ከወረዳው ለቃችሁ
They told us to immediately withdraw from Badme. They ordered for the Eritreans to go back to Eritrea and Tigrayans to leave Badme. They forced us to leave everything behind.
ስንት ሰው በቃ ገድለዋል
The Eritrean forces have raped and killed many people. We ran away to save our lives.
The IDPs recall how good their life was before the war broke out in Tigray. But now they say they are facing economic problems and leading miserable life because of the war.
በእርሻና በእንስሳ መራባት
I had a farming land and cattle. My children used to go to school. I used to lead a good life. But after the war, I have lost everything.
ነበርኩበት ድሮማ ቆንጆ ነበርኩት
I had a good life. I didn't have many problems before the war. I had cattle and farmland.
በእርሻ ነው የምኖረው
I was a farmer and I was leading a good life.
The IDPs are now looking for immediate humanitarian assistance. They say the lack of medicine and food is causing additional humanitarian crisis to them.
ከህብረተሰቡ በቃ የለምን ነው እንጂ በመንግስት ይሁን በምንም የተረዳን ነገር የለም
We have not got any support from the government until now. We have mothers and children who are facing a big problem.
አራት ወራት ሚያክል ምንም
We have been here for 4 months now, but we haven't received any food or medicine. We're just suffering together with our families.
ምንም ነገር ሳናገኝ እርዳታ ምናምን የለም
There is no assistance. We're starving on a daily basis. Our kids are facing medical problems.
The IDPs request for the full implementation of the signed peace agreement and for the Ethiopian government to work on the withdrawal of the Amhara Fano and Eritrean troops from Tigray.
የኢትዮጵያ መንግስት ያው እኛ ስምምነቱ በጣም ደስ ብለናል
We appreciate the peace agreement. We call upon the Ethiopian government to live up to its promise and work on the withdrawal of Eritrean troops. We also ask for humanitarian support. We are at a grave danger.
We are waiting for the withdrawal of the invaders. We are praying for the suffering of our people to be ended.
That wraps up our news for the hour. Thank you for watching.